This is a reminder. This is a reminder for some of you. Look closely. Reminder. You see that? That's my left hand. But on a serious note, the topic of relationships, I am finding that I feel more and more grateful for my relationship every day. I think seeing other people call it quits on their relationship, I have to be careful on that. I put a boundary on that in my mind, and I don't let that simmer as a thought in my mind. Like, if you let a thought into your mind and you keep it there and you ruminate on it and you think about it, it will fester, it will grow, and you'll manifest it into something bigger. So when people talk about relationships failing and marriages like end in 50% divorce or whatever, I always in my mind call bullshit on that. Because if I let the thought in, it starts to take hold, and that thought is not welcome to take hold in my mind. So when I look at a lot of other people who are having like relationship difficulties, I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, that is your gift. That is something that you get to work through, and you should work through it. Like, the problem that you're facing in your relationship is yours. It was hand selected for you. You get to work through it. You don't just run away from it and think it's going to magically be solved somewhere else. Solving that problem and going through the difficulty of whatever that is for you. That's for your growth. And I've never been divorced, so I don't know. I can't really speak on that. I've broken up before from relationships, so I can speak on that. And I know how painful that is. And I also know that there was a level of, there was no peace in those relationships. And that's part of why they broke up. There was no foundation underneath it, and that's part of why they didn't last. And with this one, we worked on it. Like, we built such a strong foundation on it, and we're constantly working at it. And we don't like sit there and talk about it 24/7. Otherwise we wouldn't get work done, but we're like constantly working on it. And this last year, I don't know what it is, but I've just been feeling so grateful for every single moment that I have. Like, even in this house, with my man, with our dog, it's just like, I know that none of this is forever. Like, in spirit, it's forever, but like, this world, this life, this experience that we're going through has an end point. And so I'm like treasuring every single moment. I mean, my dog will stand up like on my leg as I'm in the kitchen doing something. She'll stand up because she wants a hug. So I'll reach down and I'll hug her as she's standing, and I like put my hand on her chest, and I can feel her heartbeat. And, I feel her warm little fur, her chest kind of feels like a cat tongue, that like little, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like that little feeling of that fur. And it's just, I look at her and I'm like, I feel like such a jerk for how I was acting when we first adopted her. I was like irritated and impatient. And now I'm like, she's trained. She's great for her breed, Chiweenie. And it's great. And it's like, I had to go through that hard time, that struggle. If I would have said, I can't do this, let's take her back to the pet store. We adopted her. It wasn't a puppy mill, but if we would have taken her back, like, how sickening and pathetic would that be? Like, nope, can't deal with this. We're taking her back. It's like I would have traded in all that growth, all that learning all that process for what? Like, I can't even picture my life without this little dog for the past year. Like, I've just grown so much. And with relationships, a dog can't even really talk to you. They can smile at you with their puppy smile. They can wag their tail. They can try to get your attention, but they can't talk to you. They can't exchange human thoughts, intellectual thoughts. But you can do that with your partner in your relationship. And you should do that. And part of the growth that occurs is like the friction of two personalities clashing in different ways. Maybe you have some similarities in some areas. Maybe you're completely different in some areas. Like Dan's work is completely different. He works with Google as a client, and it's like technology and shit that I don't know anything about and I'm not interested in. And it's like very different. And I work like on the creative side and writing and marketing and all that stuff, business. And so we have like these differences. And instead of trying to mold the person into more of yourself, it's like we need to embrace the differences and learn from them. Like Dan has taught me so much that I would not have learned if I hadn't had that experience. If I had said, you know what, I'm going to pick someone exactly like me, I wouldn't have learned all that stuff that I learned in the past 5.5 years of being with him. So it's like when I see people, I mean, breaking up from like girlfriend, boyfriend, that's one thing, but like breaking up from a marriage, it's like you made a lifelong vow. You made a promise to this person to until death do us part. And it's like, if you didn't want to make that vow, like, why did you get married? What was the point of that? And I've thought this my whole life. It's like I know how serious a vow like that is. And like, I don't want to take that lightly. I don't want to just hand that off to whoever, And I've seen people just completely like shit on their own promises and their own word. And it's so disgusting. I mean, it's disgusting that we do that to ourselves and that we do that to each other. And it's not even just in relationships. It's like in all areas. If you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, it really is like the ultimate test of, can you keep your word to yourself? So whoever needs to hear this, if you're having relationship difficulties, just work through it. If you don't know how to work through it, you do need a couples counselor, someone who specializes in it that will take a stand for your relationship, that will take a stand for you guys staying together. And for me, that was EFT counseling. That it's such a great resource. You're not there forever. It's just a small container. It's like you work on it and then you're done. You're out. And then you have that solid foundation. And then if you have problems later down the road, years later, whatever, you can come back. You can work with the counselor again. It's not like an ongoing thing. It's meant to be short and intensive and potent, and it solves the issue, which is that you don't have this strong underlying foundation. You need to have that strong foundation for the relationship to work. And speaking as someone who just, I feel like, I don't know, Santa Claus came in and like gave me this life, because everything, literally everything it's so beautiful. Like, I don't even know how this happened. Like, I was ready for it. Maybe I was not ready for it, but a voice, like God kept telling me, this person is for you. Like, you have my blessing on this person, this relationship. And anytime I was like arguing with Dan or getting, irritated or whatever, it just always comes back to that knowing of, this is right for you. You have a lot to grow from this. Like you have a lot to learn from this. Keep going. The message of society tells you quit. It's going to be better on the other side. And we see examples of people where it appears to be better for them on the other side. But if you look behind the scenes, it's really not. And they keep running from the problem, so they just keep recreating it with something else. And until you solve the problem within yourself, like, I think my problem for a long time with relationships is that I didn't value myself as a woman. So I would, of course, go after the guys that would not value me. So with this, he valued me, and it's a completely different dynamic. And it's like, that old crap is like so like gross now. Like, I see exactly why I attracted that. And I see exactly why I attracted this other thing that's like, oh, this is what it looks like to be with someone who values you. That's what that looks like to be with someone who doesn't, who's just using you for whatever. So if you got married, you made a vow, you have to remember like what you promised to this person. If you don't love them anymore, like, you have to really look at like, where is that thought coming from that you don't love this person anymore? Like, who introduced that idea to you, and why did you let it fester in your mind, which then festered into your heart, your soul, your body? We have to be careful about the ideas that we let into our mind, because they can fester. They can build and grow, especially if we give them energy and attention. And if we put action onto it, it will definitely grow. So I'm looking at this little bubble of marriage is beautiful, which is a new thought for me, because for a lot of my life, I did not think that way. So I'm playing with this idea that marriage is beautiful. It's like this container. And I love this concept that I heard from someone. It's like, when you get married, you have like this bubble around you, and then there's like this other layer of like God protecting it. And then it's just like all these layers of like protection, and it's blessed, and it's really cool. So I love that idea. And I really don't see too many examples of people like living that out. So that fact alone, I am putting a boundary on that in my mind. And I'm telling myself, doesn't matter if there's not very many examples of that. That's something I want, and that's what I'm creating, and that's what we're creating. And it's going to might be difficult, probably will be difficult at times. Overall, there's a peace to it, and there's just a feeling of like, this is right. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's not like what you see out there, it's like, this is perfect. And all I have to do is like go back in time and look at the past 5.5 years with this man. It's like, it's gotten better and better and better and better and better. Slowly, like, we don't follow other people's pace, slowly but beautifully, like in the way that a tree grows. A tree grows very slowly. For a long time, you don't see much happening, and then it sprouts, and then it happens slowly, like in nature. But that's where the roots come in. The roots are like developing slowly underneath everything as well, so that it holds and it sticks. And it's like, that is so beautiful to have these roots, instead of just, nope, gonna run away from it, not gonna do the roots, just gonna try to find something else, whatever that whole conversation is. It's like, that's not helpful. That's not growth. And that's not for me. It's not for you. If you're watching, especially if you're watching this video all the way to the end, this is a 15-minute video. If you watched all the way to the end, that's not for you. You deserve something that has roots, that has a strong foundation, that is blessed by God, however you see that. And it's very personal and private to you. Like, that's something you don't have to put on social media, and you definitely should not. I don't post like anything that's like sacred to me and my partner. I don't post that on anywhere because it's part of our thing, right? If I was to post it, it would lose its sacredness. It would become a show for you guys to watch. I can post bits and pieces, I can share things, and that's enough. Like, that's enough to make a difference. I mean, I've had people message me and say, hey, what you posted, I took an action on that I had been wanting to take, and I just want to say thank you for posting that. Like, you gave me the courage to do it. So you don't need to post like your whole sacred part of this relationship, because it's truly between you and another person. It's not you and the world. The world, it's like we're always putting on somewhat of a show to a certain extent. I mean, for this video, I did my freaking hair. I took a shower, okay? I put on lipstick for this. It's like I'm putting on a show for you in the context of this video, because I didn't want to just show up unshowered for this video. So on some level, everything is a show. And on some level, what you don't show with your person who is near and dear to you, who you took a vow to, it's like, that's sacred. That's the unspoken. That's between you and that person. That's where intimacy and trust gets built between you and that person. And if you don't build that with your person, it's not going to last. And again, anything that you do is just for show. Any marriages you do, any vows, oh, I'll be with you forever, it's just for show. Because if you truly don't stick with it, then what was the point of making the vow?